Okay, good morning and thank you for joining the EL8 Uranium Investor Webinar. I'm Jane Morgan, the Investor and Media Relations Manager. Today, I am joined by EL8 Uranium's Managing Director and CEO, Murray Hill, who will be running through an investor presentation, including discussing the recent 22% increase in the company's mineral resources. Murray will also provide a company update and engage in a Q&A session. So to ask a question throughout the presentation, please use the Q&A function at the bottom of your screen. Murray, I'll pass on to you.
Thanks, Jane, and good morning to everybody. What an exciting time to be in the uranium industry. The demand for nuclear energy, which is powered by uranium, is growing by the day, and the world have embraced this decarbonisation, electrification. And I must say, electrification is the use of batteries, and particularly in electric vehicles. Batteries store energy, batteries discharge energy, but batteries don't generate energy. So we need to generate energy to power these batteries. And if the EV revolution is as the car manufacturers suggest, there's going to be a lot of energy needed over the next 10 years in particular. The growth is almost exponential. So the only way to have a low carbon emission energy source to feed these electric batteries is through nuclear. Nuclear is a very important part of our future. Low carbon emission, reliable baseload power. It works 24/7. It's irrespective of climate conditions. So it's a very important part of our future. And we need uranium to feed these nuclear reactors. And at the moment, there's supply shortage. We've got a big gap between demand and production. Now, in every aspect of life, you know that to meet demand, what have you got to do to production? You've got to incentivize production. How do you incentivize production? You have to lift the uranium price, and that way current producers or would-be producers will make some money. So without them making money, they're not going to produce uranium. So we believe strongly that the uranium price has to go a lot further north than it currently is, and that's where we come into play. Now, the nuclear uranium, we can't control that, but what we can control is what we do as a company. And we've been kicking some goals lately. We've been in the uranium industry for 16 years. We're the only ASX listed company with uranium in our name. We're very proud of the fact we're in the uranium industry and contributing to nuclear and decarbonisation. We've got tenements in two tier one jurisdictions, Namibia and Australia. We've now got 81 million pound of resources at Marinika and Copies following our announcement of the Copies initial resource yesterday. Quite exciting for us. We've got 48 million pound of assets in Australia. And all of this is underpinned by our upgrade beneficiation process, which we developed in-house. It's demonstrated to reduce the capital and operating costs at the Marinika project, and hence we think it's going to reduce them at Copies, and it's also reduced the cost at Angela. So really demonstrated so far to have a significant impact on our business. We've got an experienced team with a long track record of uranium exploration and production. And as I said before, what an exciting time to be in the nuclear and uranium industry. It's a fantastic. Firstly, let's focus on Namibia. As I said, it's a tier one jurisdiction. It's the fourth largest producer of uranium in the world. And, it's been producing uranium for 46 years. The Rossing uranium mine started in 1976. So there's over 2 generations with uranium mining culture. So, there's no resistance to what we do in Namibia. There's been 4 operating mines at one stage, 2 are in care and maintenance now due to the price. We're targeting old river systems, or old paleochannels as we call them now, shallow mineralization where the uranium's leached out of the primary rocks and reprecipitated in these paleochannels. That's what we're after. They're generally less than 20 meters deep, and so fairly shallow, but not easily found. We've got 61 million pound of resource in the Marinika paleochannel system, and we've now just announced a 20 million pound down at Copies in the Namibia area. We've got the largest land position for nuclear fuels in the country. We're drilling continuously at the moment, and we're looking forward to expanding our resource envelopes and mineralised envelopes over time. The Namibia area, which is down the bottom of the Erongo region, this is where we've found Copies. It's a region where we focused on. We've got a contiguous land package in there. We focused on it because it's upstream of known deposits. There's 270 million pound of known deposits at Langer Heinrich, Tumas, and Oceananus. And we believe that if the uranium's had to flow through our tenements to reach those deposits. So hence we picked these up. The first tenement we explored on was Copies, and we've discovered Copies. We've discovered Heribeb, Namib 4 over the last couple of years. And as I say, we've now got our first resource on the Copies project. So quite an exciting area, this, and a lot of work to do. There's a lot of paleo channels that we've identified so far. It's very difficult to get drill rigs in this mining sector at the moment because most commodities are having a bit of a run, but we've secured a drill rig. He's been working for us for the last 9 months and will continue until we stop him, but we'll at least be drilling through all of 2022 and beyond. So Copies, really wanted to talk about Copies. Copies is an exciting project for us. As I said, it's a 20 million pound resource, our initial or maiden resource, as some people refer to it. What we were doing initially was that we were drilling, looking for paleo channels only. So we would drill down and we would drill into the calcrete. And once we hit basement or the bottom of the river system, the bottom of the paleo channel, we would drill 2 meters into it to make sure that we were in basement and it wasn't a sort of false bottom of the channel. And unless that was mineralized, we would just stop drilling right there. And if we were on the banks of the channel and we hit a basement straight under the surface, we would drill 2 meters and stop. And so as a consequence, we were really focused on uranium within the paleo channel, within the calcrete in that paleo channel. And as time went on, and as we went to sort of head towards resource estimation sort of late last year, very early this year, we sort of realized that we were potentially missing out on uranium that had, over the time, when these channels form, it's, uranium's been leached, flowing in solution or flowing in water, and water follows the least path of resistance. So some of the weathered basement, we believe, beneath the channel has allowed water to ingress and precipitated uranium. So we still believe it's the same sort of secondary uranium mineralization in that basement, and the work we've done so far suggests that. So we then sort of went, okay, we've missed that, and potentially sort of outside of the channels, over millions of years, the channel could have eroded and the calcrete taken off, but left that sort of basement behind. So we started to sort of look outside the channel and look a little bit deeper in a few areas. And sure enough, there's uranium mineralization there. So we strongly believe that we now need to go and drill in certain areas beneath the paleo channel that we've outlined here, and then also alongside it. We put a line of holes out to the east of Copies 1, north of Copies 2 there in this new discovery, looking for remnant paleo channel we thought might have existed in the area. And then we hit mineralization. We drilled a little bit wider, and we can see now we've got a decent amount of mineralization there. It's open to the northeast and it's open to the southwest. Quite likely joins up with Copies 2. Some of those holes at the top of Copies 2, they're only 2 meters deep. So we expect that drilling there, we might find something beneath that 2 meter level. The mineralization of the new discovery is only 16 meters deep maximum. And funnily enough, in Namibia, the sort of strike of most, of all of your rock types is sort of northeast, southwest, and that's the sort of shape of our tenement. So potentially, as we head further northwest, east, you can see it's opening up in the northeast. Hopefully, the next line of drilling picks up that opening up. So quite a large resource area, 6.5 square kilometres. We believe a significant potential for growth, and we're looking forward to what that brings in the future for us. But a great maiden resource for us, and exciting times for the company. The Heribeb project we're drilling at the moment, that's 15 times larger than Copies, the tenement is. So there's potential there for who knows what. It's a large paleo channel system, and we've found some mineralization in it. We're just sort of doing some more exploration drilling at the moment. So we hope to get some results out in the coming months on that one. And just moving up, because I can't cover every project, I just want to hit the central Orongo area for a little while. We've got the Marinika uranium project there. That's our 61 billion pound resource. That's the resource we developed upgrade on, and that's where we took it up to 5,000 ppm uranium grade before it goes into a leach plant. And we've done an airborne survey on the Capri project. One thing I didn't sort of mention in the Namibia area is that one way to find these paleo channels is with an airborne EM, right? So what it does, electromagnetics, it picks up the difference in the paleo channels and the basement in terms of the conductivity, and it outlines where the paleo channel is. Now down at Copies, we've identified some of the paleochannel, but of course we can't identify what's not in paleochannel. That's what that new discovery is. So there's potential for growth outside of that, and all of our projects. But here at Capri, we've identified a large paleochannel system. In some areas, it's overlain by radiometric signal, which is encouraging. It could suggest that there's shallow mineralisation in that paleochannel on the banks of the paleochannel. So we're looking forward to drilling there the June quarter for our sort of maiden exploration program to see what's there, and hopefully we can find a bit more mineralisation there and add to our mineralised envelopes in Namibia. So quite exciting times in Namibia. A lot of news flow to come out of it. And just moving across to Oz, another tier 1 uranium jurisdiction, second largest producer in the world. We've got 4 projects that are 100% owned in the Northern Territory and in Western Australia. And we've also got joint venture interests in the Northern Territory. So just focusing on the 100% projects. Angela's 25 kilometres south of Alice Springs. It's 31 million pound resource, a good grade. We have the impediment to it being developed historically is the very high acid consumption due to a high calcite content. What we've managed to do is remove the bulk of that calcite and lower the acid consumption from nominally 100 to 120 kilos per tonne, and at 40 cents a kilo is $40 to $48 a tonne cost just for acid, down to about 20 kilos per tonne. So that's a significant reduction in cost base. And we're just also looking at now just some geochemical work, trying to understand whether it's potential to expand the resource, and we're also working on what cost base this project will have. Minerva's an exciting one. It's got 10,000 ppm uranium hits in it, 10 drill holes intersected 10,000 ppm, historical holes from the late 70s, early 80s. Again, we're planning to do some drilling on this project, but in Australia, it's a little bit longer process to get your approvals to drill, whereas in Namibia, it's a very quick process and a lot more efficient. So we're planning to drill later this year on that. We're doing some geochemical work now, see if we can understand how we might find extensions to the mineralisation. So that's where we're up to on that one. Ubaguma, we're doing some work on now. It's a shallow resource. We've got an exploration target on it, just assessing where to take that. And also Thatcher Soak is very shallow, less than 10 metre mineralisation there. And again, we're sort of doing some review work, trying to work out where to take that. So a lot of sort of more desktop work as well as field work in Australia, whereas in Namibia we're aggressively drilling, and we think we've got the greatest blue sky potential in Namibia. So upgrade, quite often get asked, what is it? It's a beneficiation process we developed and patented. We developed it in-house with a technical steering committee of experts, and we've now got patents around the world on it. So it's 100% owned by us. What it does is it uses industry standard unit operations that you'd find in a base metal or gold mineral sands plant, and we've configured them in an unconventional manner to reject gangue minerals all the way through the process, to eventually reject greater than 95% of the mass prior to leaching. And leaching is the highest unit cost operation in any uranium processing facility. So what we do is we reduce that mass to less than 5%, lowers the cost base substantially. And of course, as you're rejecting mass all the way through, your unit operations are getting smaller and smaller, so hence you're reducing the cost base. So it reduces the acid consumption, obviously, by rejecting the calcite. So for these ores, which generally need to be leached in an alkali leach process at 92+ degrees Celsius, can be leached at ambient temperature and acid, so a lot lower cost operation. So we've demonstrated on the Marinika project, took it from 93 to 5,000 ppm by removal of all that waste to the gangue, and the 80% reduction in acid consumption at Angela. So we've demonstrated it works there. And for us, the significant benefits of it is very, very low mass, high grade concentrate. We know it reduces the capex and opex by a nominal 50% compared to conventional processing, but it provides optionality. And what I mean by optionality is that if you've got less than 5% of the mass that you can leach, you've got the option of transporting that off-site, akin to a base metal operation. I mean, how many copper nickel projects do you transport concentrate off-site? Just about all of them. So what we've got is optionality. We can transport that concentrate off-site, and in Namibia, Rossing have been there since 1976. Their plant was designed for a higher grade than it is, so the back end has excess potential in it. So we could potentially deliver to there, or The other option is we could leach, refine ourselves and produce EL8. So that's the options that we've got. So as a consequence of that, we can develop smaller projects or lower grade projects in our peers, because we don't necessarily have to build that leach, tailings, reagents, refinery, which is a significant part of the capital cost. So that 50% reduction in CapEx could come down further if we don't build that back end of the plan. So environmentally, if you're not leaching on site, you're not transporting acid through communities out to site, you're not producing a tailings dam. A lot of benefits there. Even if you do leach on site, it's less than 5% of the leachant or the acid consuming that you're transporting to site. Your tailings dam is very, very small, and potentially what you can do is take the calcite you've removed, drop it back in with the leach tail, neutralize all the acid, precipitate any metals gone in solution, and you've got an inert tailings. So environmentally, fantastic process. And the other aspect about it is that we're looking at mining the surface miner, taking it to the plant. So there's no drill and blast, there's no dust generated, or very little dust generated from surface mining, and put it straight into a wet system at the plant. So you don't have to dry crush and stockpile and produce dust. So really very conscious of the environment, what we do, and we're having a huge impact, or will have a huge impact by what we do, not only in production of uranium, but also in the end product of nuclear power and low carbon emissions, low environmental impact. So just a corporate snapshot, we've got a three-man board, very focused on growth of the company, all experienced in uranium, and we've seen significant growth that you can see on the share chart over time due to our success and also the uranium price moving up. We've got a low number of shares on issue relative to most of our peers, 276 million, and we've got cash in the bank, fantastic position for us to be in and enable us to grow. So we're looking forward to the growth that we anticipate, and we've demonstrated so far that we can get through, copies and Herabeb and all these others that we're working on. So just in summary, focused on uranium. That's what we're really after, and that's the future of the power generation in the world, nuclear. We've got great positions, land positions in Namibia and Australia. We've now got 81 million pound in Namibia, 48 million pound in Australia, and when you add your numbers up, the 61 million pound at Marinika, you multiply that by 75% because that's our component. So that's why you don't get up to the total that we get up to in our announcements. And we've got this uranium beneficiation plant, a process that can reduce costs, provide optionality, and give us the edge over our peers. Good team. And as I said before, what better time to be in the nuclear industry, Jane? It's just a fantastic time to be in it. I think the timing for most pundits is pretty close to being spot on, because we're going to see a lot of growth in nuclear power generation, and hence the need for uranium, and that's where we come into it.
Wonderful. Well, thank you for the presentation. So we do have a few questions that have come through, so I'll jump into them. So what are the implications of your latest findings at Copies, and how does that affect your other assets in Namibia?
Yeah, good question, Jane. I mean, as I said before, that we're using EM or electromagnetics to find these paleo channels. This new discovery of Copies doesn't get picked up by EM. So what we think is, firstly, that the identified paleo channels from this EM work have understated how much potential we've got. So we know there's going to be uranium mineralization outside of that. So our geological team is sort of working to understand how we can find these deposits, this new discovery outside of Copies, but also, rather than just drilling 2 meters into basement, let's drill more. So that's what we're doing. We've changed our drilling philosophy, and we've moved that to our other projects now. We're sort of drilling at 25 meters deep instead of drilling 2 and hoping that we hit something. So it's changing the whole way we look at drilling. So don't just